In this section, we will talk about file handling. You're going to learn how to open files and read and write on them using Python. Let's start by creating a text file in our course folder. We can use the idle to do that. So I'll just go to File, New File. Let's write some text on our file. And now let's save it in our course folder. So I'll just pick text files, and I'm gonna name it test.txt. Now if we go to the course folder, we can see that the file has been created. Now I'm gonna open a Python program, which I just created, that is also in the course folder. So in this program, I can create a variable, and I can use the open function, and here I need to pass the path for the file we want to open. Since they are in the same folder, we just need to type the name of the file. So test.txt. Now we need to pass a second argument, which is the mode. So in this case, we just use R, that would be the read mode. Since R is the default mode, you can omit it if you are just opening the file to read it. So we can just leave it like this. Now let's print the f variable, and let's use the read function. So here we have the text that we just wrote inside our txt file. To write on our file, we can use the W mode. So in the open function, let's pass the W mode as the second argument. Be careful because this mode will overwrite whatever is inside the file. So now instead of printing, let's just type f.write. Now we could just run our program and open the file, but instead of doing it, let's just open it again after we do that in the read mode. And let's print the content of the file again. So now we can see that the text we had has been erased, and now this is the content of our file. If you don't want to overwrite what's in your file, instead of using the W mode, you can use the A mode, which is used to append. So now let's write this text will be appended to the file. This is going to be appended right after the text that is already there. So this means in the same line without any space. We could add a space here, but it's even better to add a line break. So for that, inside our string, you can just type /n. This is used to print line breaks in Python. So let's run this program again and see what happens. Now instead of overwriting what we had in our file, we just added a new line. It is important to mention that the append and write modes can also be used to create a new file. So if we pass a file name that does not exist, it is going to create one. The read mode will return an error if the file does not exist. So here, instead of opening an existing file, let's use the create mode that is represented by an X. Let's write test2. Now if I run this line of code, we can go to the folder and see that our new file has been created. If we run it again, it's going to return an error because the file already exists. So like I just said, we could use the write or append modes because if the file does not exist, they will create one. But it's good to know that you also have this option, which will return an error if the file already exists. Now, before we finish this lesson, how could I create a file in another folder on my computer, let's say in the desktop. If I want to do that, I just need to write the full path. So I'm just going to go to the idle. So I'm just going to create a variable called f. I'm going to use the open function. And now I have to write the full path, which in the Mac is going to be users/Ivan L. Gomez, which is my username. Desktop. Let's create a file called myfile.txt. So for that, I'm just going to use the X mode. Since I'm just using the open function to create a file, I'm not going to read it afterwards. I don't have to create a variable. I can just use the open function directly like this. So if I run this and go back to my desktop, I can see that the file has been created. So if you want to work in different folders on your computer, all you have to do is type in the full path. So this was all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next video.